Shalom, I give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS that taught us His word. I just want to talk about the chariots and how they have two different roles to play. One is for destruction, and the other is for deliverance. The curse that goeth over the whole face of the earth. That's the destruction part. Even going back into the history, the chariots, would saved King David, and destroyed all his enemies. And that same thing is going to happen in this time when Michael and his angels are going to fight, Satan and his angels, that war in heaven when the chariots come back with Yahushai. But the first scripture I want to get is Zechariah 5:1. Then I turned and lifted up my eyes and looked, and behold, a flying roe. And I saw a chariot. And he said unto me, What seest thou? And I answered, I see a flying roe. The length thereof is 20 cubits, and the breadth thereof is 10 cubits. And he said unto me, This is the curse that goeth forth over the face of the whole earth, and every one that stealeth shall be cut off, as on this side according to it, and every one that sweareth shall be cut off, as on that side according to it. But yeah, the curse that goeth over the whole face of the earth. It's the story of King David when his enemies compassed around him and he was in trouble. The chariot showed up and delivered him. That was the chariots was a curse, unto his enemies. This is Psalms 18:3. I will call upon the Lord, who is worthy to be praised. So shall I be saved from my enemies. The sorrows of death compassed me, and the floods of ungodly men made me afraid. The sorrows of hell compassed me about, and the snares of death prevented me. In my distress I called upon the Lord, and cried unto my power. And he heard my voice out of his temple, and my cry came before him, even unto his ears. And he was in distress, he called unto the Most High, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, and he saved him. So, this time, Jacob's trouble, you got to call upon the Lord, you got to call upon his name. Then the earth shook and trembled. The foundations also of the hills were moved and were shaken, because he was wroth. There went up a smoke out of his nostrils, and fire out of his mouth devoured. Coals were kindled by it. He bowed the heavens also, and came down, and darkness was under his feet. And he rode upon a cherubim, and did fly, yea, he did fly upon the wings of the wind. He made darkness his secret place, his pavilion round about him were dark waters and thick clouds of skies. And the brightness that was before him, his thick clouds passed, hailstones, and coals of fire. The Lord also thundered in the heavens, and the highest gave his voice, hailstones, and coals of fire. Yea, he sent out his arrows, and scattered them. And he shot lightnings, and discomfited them. Yeah, man, he shot out those lightnings and his arrows from the chariots, man. He discomfited his enemies. Then the channels of waters were seen, and the foundations of the world were discovered by thy rebuke, O Lord, at the blast of the breath of thy nostrils. He sent from above. He took me. He drew me out of many waters. He delivered me from my strong enemy, and from them which hated me, for they were too strong for me. Yes, the Most High delivered him from his enemies, and the chariot became a curse unto his enemies, man. And you best believe that's going to happen in this time as well. It's 2 Ezra 13:3. And I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven. And when he turned his countenance to look, all things trembled that were seen under him. And whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice, like as the earth faileth when it feeleth the fire. And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the four winds of heaven to subdue the man that came out of the sea. Yeah, all those armies, those Air Force military men, they're going to come for Yahushua and the angels, man. They're going to fight. He came out to see me, he came out the sky. And I beheld, and lo, he graved himself a great mountain, flew upon it. But I would have seen the region or place whereout the hill was graven, and cannot. Yeah, that's how big his chariot was. Described it as the size of a mountain. And after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid, yet durst fight. And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand, nor held sword or any instrument of war. But only I saw that he had sent out of his mouth, as it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests. Yeah, those laser beams, that shot out of the chariot. And they were all mixed together. The blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude which was prepared to fight, and burned them up every one, so that upon a sudden of an innumerable multitude nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid. So the concentrated fire and all that, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the tempest, all mixed together. So it's like a laser beam. Just like what King David went through. Sent out arrows and scattered them, shot out lightnings and discomforted them. Well, the same thing's going to happen in this time, So that's part of the curse of the chariots. And all these other nations are going to feel the curse of these chariots. They're seeking out the chariots, But that's their curse, They have these telescopes trying to search out the chariots. But that's the curse that's going to fall upon the earth, on these other nations, unto our enemies, but unto us, unto the Most High's elect, to Israel. It's going to be the blessing, those chariots are going to be the elect's redemption, their salvation. This is Luke 21:25, and there shall be signs in the sun, and in the moon, and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations, with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring, men's hearts failing them for fear, and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth, for the powers of heaven shall be shaken. Yeah, this time that we're going through now, that we're about to go through, man. Then shall they see the Son of Man coming in a cloud, with power and great glory. Yeah, that chariot, that big chariot, fathership. And when these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draweth nigh. Hey, look up that word redemption. The Greek word there is apolutrosis. Apolutrosis. It means redemption, deliverance. Key word right there, deliverance. So that's going to be the salvation, of the elect, through those chariots. Last scripture is 1 Thessalonians 4:16. For the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of the Most High, and the dead in Yahushua shall rise first. The martyrs, the ones that die in this truth, They're the first ones that are going to be on those chariots, man, right along with Yahushai. Then we, which are alive and remain, shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air, and so shall we ever be with the Lord. Wherefore comfort one another with these words. So yeah, those chariots are coming to destroy, to be that curse unto our enemies, these other nations. But these chariots are also coming to deliver the elect, the chosen of the Most High. You know, Yahushai's elect men. That's the comfort of the chariots, to be delivered in those chariots. So, that's just wanted to bring that out. The curse and the blessing of the chariots. And so with that, shalom.